And this is the front of the park. This is where they hold the Renaissance Fair every year. And there are people in medieval garb and swords and battle axes roaming around like a bunch of hoopties. And my sister usually sits in her little booth right over there in front of that the tree right in the center of the camera.
Actually, we've been over there the last 2 years. But yeah, sorry.
Right behind where that tree is in the center of the camera, and sells soap that she makes herself. There's some people. And there's a happy kid dancing. And we've pretty much come full circle all the way around the park. And look, that is a church. And the little gray building beside it, part of the same church that used to be the Florence Public Library. But now that's the library, and it's bigger than the church. Ha ha, education wins, motherfuckers. Though I do want to point out the trees. I mean, look at the roots of this sucker. Here in the States, that's one of the ways you can tell stuff's old, because, like Eddie Izzard says, we tear everything down and build a car park. And there, off in the distance, another block away. What is it? Another fucking church. W.C. Handy, father of the blues. You'd think he'd be taller. This used to be a hospital. Eliza Coffey Memorial Hospital, in memory of somebody named Eliza Coffey. That's the emergency room. It is empty now because it was bought out by some huge national for-profit hospital system, and they've built a new one. That's it. There was no interesting story about it. I just thought I'd point the building out.
3 blocks.
Okay. My wife just remembered something and pointed out that while we give no shits, you might. It's a fairly decent tourist attraction, and it's about 3 blocks from our house. So she thought that it would be neat to show it to you. It's the Frank... That was a pothole. I think my spleen is laying in the road back there. Well, until we get there, here's some houses. It is the Frank Lloyd Wright Rosenbaum House. That's all I really know.
Yep.
There are, see, there's a little sign for it, Frank Lloyd Wright Rosenbaum House. There's statistics and historical info and when it was built and all of that kind of thing, and I really don't have a clue about any of that because personally I think the house is ugly as hell. But we live 3 blocks from a Frank Lloyd Wright architected building. Woods.
Will this bring us
Yes.
back where we want? Or will it did?
These are just some houses in my neighborhood. That's a lovely little house, and it had absolutely nothing to do with Frank Lloyd Wright. And that one's neat. Flags everywhere. You can't be a real American unless you got an American flag hanging off your roof. That's how you know you's a patriot, when you got you a flag. swear to God, I don't understand those people.
I love this house right now. Always have.
My
So
wife is extremely fond of that house. Flag. And it's straight back to Eddie's. And they got the flag.
In that house.
And that house. That looks like the kind of house that Frank Lloyd Wright ought to have built, but he didn't.
And the one on the corner.
Sorry, I had that at the wrong angle and you were just looking at tops of trees and shit, weren't you? My apologies. This is also a neat little house. Also not a Frank Lloyd Wright house. Oh look, they got a new fence up. Cool. And apropos of nothing, that is the street corner that my kids used to stand on waiting for the school bus.